Hello everyone, I am James Marcus Macpagal, and today I'll be presenting to you the hormones stimulate responses in target cells. So, in this topic, we will learn about what is the use of target cells, how water-soluble hormones trigger second messenger system, and lastly, how lipid-soluble hormones directly alter gene expression. So, what are target cells? Well, target cells have a centered disk of hemoglobin surrounded by a pale region, with an outer ring of hemoglobin near to the cell membrane, giving the appearance of a target. The term target cell is a little misleading because it implies that hormone somehow travels straight to the source to a limited set of cells, but in reality, hormone circulates throughout the entire body in blood. Each hormone's target cell are simply those with corresponding receptors. So, the real-life examples about target cells are target board, Velcro target board, and archery target board. There are many other types of dartboards that are similar to target cells. Now, let's move on to water-soluble hormone trigger second messenger system. So, most water soluble hormones are either protein or peptide hormones, which are short chains of amino acids. Are water soluble, they cannot pass readily through the cell membrane. Instead, they bind to receptors on the surface of a target cell. The hormone's receptor interaction trigger a cascade of chemical reactions within the cell. The product of this chain reaction within the cell is that it creates a second messenger, and it is the molecule that actually provokes this cell response. The second messenger typically activates the enzymes that produces the hormone's effectiveness or the effects of it. Whatever the outcome, the entire cascade of reaction converts the external message, the arrival of the hormones at the outer membrane, into a signal that acts inside the cell. So, in general, water soluble hormones act rapidly within the minutes of their release. So, target cell responds quickly because of all the participating biochemicals are already in place when the hormones binds to the receptors. So now, let's move on to the lipid soluble hormones directly alter gene expression. So, some hormones are lipid soluble. Those the most familiar are the steroid hormones, such as testosterone and estrogen. The body synthesizes these and other steroid hormones from cholesterol, which is one reason humans need at least some cholesterol in their diets. Hormones and responses. So, we'll give three examples of these hormones and responses that we have right now. Water soluble hormones, which are proteins or short chain of amino acids, which is peptide hormone, biochemical that travels in blood and binds to a receptor on the target cell surface, starting reactions that alter cell metabolism. And next, lipid soluble hormone, steroid hormone, biochemical that travels in blood, passes through a target cell's membrane, binds to a receptor in the cell, and turns on a particular gene on or off. And next, we have lipids, cells with receptor protein that binds on a particular hormone. So, lipid soluble hormone can easily pass the cell membrane. No second messenger is required. Once within the cell, the hormone may penetrate the nucleus and attach to a DNA receptor, thereby promoting or inhibiting the creation of a specific protein. Alternatively, the hormone may bind to a receptor in the cytoplasm and move jointly to the nucleus. In either case, the response time is substantially slower than For water-soluble hormones because the cell must generate new protein or stop manufacturing them before the hormone can take effect. And that's it for today, and thank you for watching my video. Goodbye!
Good morning, everyone. I am Lisha Kate F. Nunez. So we'll be discussing about the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. First, we'll be discussing about the endocrine system. The endocrine system includes glands with specialized cells that secrete hormones. The hormones are secreted into the bloodstream via blood vessels to circulate throughout the body. The hormones then signal some organs to perform different functions. So there are different types of endocrine organs. So these are the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, ovaries, and testes. So I'll be showing a picture. First, the picture will be in the hypothalamus. There's a part of the forebrain, and in the pituitary gland, there's a picture that shows that there's a pea-sized structure attached to the hypothalamus or via stalk. So in the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, there are two glands coordinate much of the endocrine system's action. So actually, the pituitary gland is subdivided into two parts. So in that part, Carl will be the one to discuss.
Hi. So the posterior pituitary stores and releases two hormones. There's their ADH, the antidiuretic hormone whose only purpose is when the body's fluids are too concentrated. You can see here the fluids are made up of different stuff, like for example the sugar and the salt, and not a lot of water. So this is what we call dehydration. Now, the posterior pituitary releases more ADH, which then rides on blood cells like these, which then stimulates kidney cells to return water to the blood, which then makes the body's fluids dilute. Congratulations, you're now hydrated. So the ADH prompts the kidneys to add more water via the bloodstream. So oxytocin, when a father doesn't get home with the milk, a baby gets its milk from its mother instead, right? When a child suckles on the nipples of its mother, so sensory neurons in the mother's nipple relays information to the brain, which stimulates the release of oxytocin, which causes the muscles in the mother's breast to contract, and thus feeding the baby with the milk its father could never provide. There's actually milk inside, as the label suggests. So oxytocin stimulates the breast cells to contract and squeeze out the milk.
So we'll be talking about the anterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary actually produces and secretes six hormones. The first hormone is called the growth hormone. It increases protein synthesis and cell division rates. The second is called the prolactin. The prolactin stimulates milk production. The third is the TSH or thyroid stimulating hormones. So it prompts thyroid gland to release hormones. The fourth is called the adrenocorticotropic hormone. It prompts parts of the adrenal gland to release hormones. The fourth is the follicle stimulating hormone. It stimulates sperm production. The last is the luteinizing hormone. It stimulates ovulation. Thank you.
It's hypothalamus time. When a neuron feels something that isn't normal, like when it knows something that threatens our homeostasis, like for example, it's hot, the neuron sends out a message to the brain which is then received by the hypothalamus. Then it sends signals to any of the pituitary gland, which then sends out the needed hormones. And because it's hot, the body will need more water. So it sends out ADH, these little guys from earlier right here. So basically, the hypothalamus controls the pituitary gland. And since it's controlled by the brain, it serves as a direct link between the nervous system and the endocrine system. Bye.
Hormones from the ovaries and testis control reproduction by Sean Espina, which is me. So, what are testes? Testes are these reproductive organs. The testes in males, sperm producing organs, secrete the steroid hormones that enable these gametes to mature. And ovaries are hormones from the ovaries and testes that also promote development of secondary sex characteristics, which are features that differentiate in the sexes but do not participate directly in reproduction. This section briefly introduces the sex hormones. Chapter 30 explains their role in more reproduction in more detail. So ovaries are basically just releases hormones for women. So ovaries, how do they work? In a woman of reproductive age, the levels of several sex hormones cycle approximately every 28 days. The hypothalamus produces a hormone that stimulates the anterior pituitary that releases FSH and LH into the bloodstream. At target cells in the ovary, these two hormones trigger the events that lead to the release of an egg cell. Meanwhile, the cells surrounding the egg produce the sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, which exert the negative feedback control on both the hypothalamus and the pituitary. Estrogen also promotes the development of the female secondary sex characteristics, such as breast and wider hips, whereas progesterone helps the uterus prepare for pregnancy. So, what are testes? What are their functions? In males, FSH stimulates the early stages of sperm formation in the testes. Sperm production is completed under the influence of LH, which also prompts the cells in the testes to release the sex hormone, testosterone. This hormone stimulates the formation of male structures in the embryo and promotes later development of male secondary sex characteristics, including facial hair, deepening of the voice, and increased muscle growth. Okay, once again, my presentation is short because I'm only taught to present these things. So which this presentation onto the chapter 30 explains more about these. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this slide.